If you have been struggling to get sales from your design work or understanding what you really need to do to make money, I have the workshop for you. On September 23rd, I'm hosting my first ever Profitable Designer Workshop. This 1-day, 3-hour workshop is only $97, but I have a discount for all my podcast listeners. Go to carinagardnercourses.com/profit and put in the code podcast for $50 off. I can't wait to see you more profitable. Welcome to the Make and Design Podcast. I'm your host, Carina Gardner. On this podcast, we're unraveling the everyday joys and dilemmas of design, making, and business. For makers who want to be designers and for designers who are makers, this is your inside scoop to help you grow your business and bring more creativity to your life. Hey guys, I am so excited to talk about this topic today. It's one that's been on my heart, and if you have been to one of my design boot camps, you know that I actually talk about this quite a bit, but in the opposite way. So the title of this episode is We Are What We Consume, and I love talking about the opposite of that, which is being a producer. So we're either a consumer or producer. The truth is we're both of those things, right? Because we can't help but consume things. And I think when you look at the title, you think, oh, we're talking about food. But the truth is, in life, there is so much we are consuming, especially now with the amount of media we have access to. I mean, you're here consuming this podcast, right? I love consuming podcasts, by the way. And so I like talking about how do we balance that? How do we make sure that we're putting out in the world in equal or more, I always like more, than what we're actually consuming. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. If you are someone who feels like they're more of a producer, kind of feel that. If you feel like you're more of a consumer, feel that, right? We live in a society where consumption is, we don't even look at it as consumption, right? Like if you think about people in your life who spend a lot of time consuming news, people who consume a lot on social media, like Instagram, people who are consuming Netflix. I mean, we can consume a lot of different things. Podcasts, okay? And I actually don't think all consumption is bad. In fact, I think lots of consumption is good. In fact, if you are someone who's an influencer or a producer, you should be producing with the hopes that people will be consuming your content, right? I was just actually thinking about this morning because I have 4 Instagram accounts, which seems so crazy. And believe it or not, I think a lot of people think that I have someone doing those accounts for me. But no, that's me. I do them all. I don't know if that will be the case forever, but certainly now I do them all. Why? Because I want to make sure that I'm producing the correct kind of content. And I like keeping my eye on how each of those feeds are doing. If someone DMs me, I'm DMing them back. So I just know, you guys, it's actually me. And it's because it's social, right? I think I can see myself getting a little bit of help in the future, but it's really hard for me to pull myself away from those simply because I like producing in those areas. I like producing content, educating, showing people what I'm designing and what I'm making. Like that is a really, really fun thing for me. And then I have my secret feed, which is one of the 4 feeds that I do not promote at all. And then I have the Ink Club feed, right, to talk about the membership and what we're producing and making there. So how do we get, so let's talk about this. How do we get from a consumer mentality to being a producer, okay? So this is the bottom line. If you are spending 100% of your time consuming and 0% of your time producing, just know that you are letting everybody else bring in what's going on in your heart and your mind. Let me say that again. if you are 100% consuming and you are letting all of these other people bring in stuff, and most of it's probably good, you guys, like really great stuff, right? But bring in all this stuff and coming into your heart and your mind, then you are letting someone else choose what's inside of you. Because we are what we consume. Whatever we're thinking about, whatever we're consuming, that's what we're thinking about, right? Now, if you're a producer, okay, and maybe you're doing, let's pretend you're doing 50-50. Maybe 50% of the time in your life you're producing, you're making things, you're crafting things, you're putting stuff out there for other people to consume. And that's the other thing about being a producer. You don't actually have to make content for other people to consume. In fact, one of my favorite things about being a producer is the fact that you get to serve the one, right? So if you're a quilter, you're producing. You're producing a quilt, you're making it, and when you give that quilt away to someone special, you are serving the one so that they can consume your quilt, right? Like enjoy it, right? Same with paper crafting. Say I am sitting and I'm making an entire Christmas village. It's the season of Christmas, so you guys know I have tons of Christmas villages and I like making them. And if you're sitting and making one of those and then you put it in your house, then your entire family gets to consume, right? Enjoy that Christmas village that you spent time producing and making, right? So I want you to think about it in those terms, okay? And then I want you to think about it in terms of putting stuff out there into the world. You know, part of the reason I came up with this podcast, which by the way is, if you've been with me any amount of time, you'll know that having a podcast is kind of a weird thing for a designer or a creator. Not because, audio isn't amazing, but you guys know, if you are on any of my feeds or YouTube channels, you know I spend most of my time working with my hands. Like I like making things, and that requires visuals, right? I'm a designer, visuals. And so the podcast isn't a natural outlet, but what I found, and it astonishes me, you guys, because I started the podcast after I started my Design Suite programs. But we need, as creators, we need to be consuming good, positive, uplifting content in order to be in a good mind space to be creating with our hands. That's why I created this podcast, because I wanted you to know that, first of all, I believe in you. Wherever you're at in your creative journey, I believe in you and what you're trying to accomplish. And second of all, I believe that you can do it. I know for myself and what I have come from and who I am, that if I can do it, anybody can do it. And so I really believe that we just need positive affirmations in our life to make sure that we're staying on track with our creativity. I really think that's important, okay? All right, I'm always off track. You guys know I'm just chatting with you like you're my best friend, sitting in my living room together, snuggled up, just having a chat about life. But yeah, I mean, so we're consuming, right? So I want you to think about the things that you are consuming. What's your go-to? And make a mental note. Is it Instagram? Is it the news? Is it Netflix? Is it people in your life, right? Toxic relationships or good relationships in your life? What are you consuming? And then think to yourself, like as you start kind of like tallying up in your head, what are these things, what are these consumption things doing for you? Do they lift you up or do they bring you down? I suspect it's a little of both, because I know I have both in my life. There are lots of things that lift me up, and same people, right? Like I have lots of people in my life who can do both for me. They both lift me up and they bring me down. So we don't get rid of people in our lives, right? We don't do that. But we also have to be really careful so that we can check ourselves at the door and make sure that the people that we do have in our lives and what they're telling us, that we are filtering it, right? Because all of us have a little toxic and all of us have a little goodness, okay? Hopefully a lot of good and hopefully very little toxic. But, we are, it's so crazy. It's so crazy because I'm here to talk to you about design, but design is so influenced by psychology, by the way we are. How creative we can be is so much to do with our mindset. And our mindset is 100% what we're consuming, you guys. So you've tallied up in your head what you're consuming, right? On any given day, how much are you consuming on social media? How much are you consuming on your TV? How much are you consuming from the relationships that are around you, the people that you're with? And then think in your head, percentage-wise, like how much of that is really good? How much is toxic? And then how much is, we're gonna throw out a neutral in here, just not helpful, not anything. Mind-numbing. Because guys, there is a lot of that out there too. Just total and complete useless. It doesn't impact you in good or bad. That's actually the first thing I would say, if you can get rid of, because that's the easiest to get rid of, right? Now, I don't know what it is for you. I can tell you for me, it's sitting in front of the TV, eyes glazed over, totally tired. And instead of, I believe in rest, instead of just going to bed or reading a good book or listening to a podcast that's going to uplift me, I'm sitting there in front of the TV with whatever going on, and it doesn't impact me. It's not making me more creative. So this is the mindset change I want you to have about consumption, okay? So this is, as you go throughout your day, you can just ask your question to yourself as you're doing things. Am I consuming this, and is it making a difference? If it's making a difference, is the difference positive or negative? Okay? So if the difference is positive, I want more of that, right? Bring in that more. Give me more positivity. I mean, this is part of the reason I built the communities in my Ink Club membership and my Design Suite membership, because I want all that positive energy resonating in one place, okay? And I'm not a big energy person, but it's amazing what happens when you build people up and you have people together who are single in purpose, right? Trying to do something wonderful. And then if that thing that's making a difference is toxic, figure out a way to get rid of it. How can you make it so that you aren't consuming it? Okay. Now, if it's neutral, to me, neutral isn't toxic, but it's just not useless. I mean, it's just not useful, not useless. It's just not useful. So I always try to twist it and think, how can I turn that thing into a positive experience? How can I make that thing more purposeful in my life? How can I get creativity and inspiration from it? Right? If we can get that creativity and inspiration from it, suddenly it goes from being neutral to being something consumed that's positive. Okay? So now, here's my other tip. Okay? So number one, you're paying attention, you're asking your question to yourself. What is this doing for me? What is this consumption doing? Is it making a difference? Okay. The second thing you can do is try your hardest to produce more. I say this all the time with gratitude. If you listen to any of my gratitude episodes, or if you're in my Ink Club or Design Suite, and you know that I talk about gratitude all the time there. If your heart is consumed with gratitude, there's not a lot left for tons of negativity and hurtful feelings or sadness or anger, okay? Not that those feelings aren't justified and things that we need in our lives, but if your heart is full of joy, and you should be feeling that as much as you can, then there's not a lot of room left over for other things, right? Same with production. If you spend a lot of time in production mode, if you spend a lot of time making, okay? So for me, that's designing. I love designing, or I love relationships with my memberships, good relationships in my family, okay? Building things, okay? Maybe creating videos and educating people, okay? If I'm doing those things, do you know how much time is left over for consumption? Not as much. So, now, am I saying don't consume it all? No, we have to consume some, but there are certain things that I won't let into my life, and my husband knows it, and it makes us laugh. For example, I do not listen to the news, okay? My headspace to be creative needs to be positive. I have to be thinking, ruminating, exploring, getting excited, feeling inspired in order to design the way I design, okay? And if you are in one of my programs and you're listening to this, you know that I want for you what I currently have, which is an amazing design career, okay? I want that for you. Your headspace, if you are worried about lots of things in your life, you don't have the headspace to feel consistently inspired. Does that make sense? In order to feel, and there are things, you guys, in our lives that are hard. Family members struggling, loved ones, passing away. There are really hard things, and I'm not saying to ignore those things. We have to take care of those things, you guys. It's important. But when you have the ability to fill your mind up with the things that inspire you to create, that help build you up, you will become stronger as a designer and as a creator. Okay? And I really think you have it in you. I think everyone does. I think we all have the ability to really create. All right? So, hopefully this helped today, you guys. You know I love you. You know I am rooting for you for all the good things that you can bring to this world, that you can produce and give to others. I've seen it. I've seen your goodness. I've seen your kindness, and it makes me even more want to be better. So I just appreciate you. I can't wait to see you if you're in one of my programs. You guys know I love being with you. And if you're not in one of my programs and you're really interested, I recommend coming to either one of my live design boot camps, or now we actually have a replay, so you can come join a design boot camp at your leisure. You usually have 7 days to consume it, so it's all the trainings in one go. And you can go check that out at carinagardnercourses.com/design bootcamp. Now, if you are a maker and you're not interested in design, you should come check out our Ink Club. That's at carinagardnercourses.com/Ink Club. And that is our maker and creator community. And that community is really fun. It's really inexpensive. Lots and lots of mini classes, downloads every month. It's just a really fun group. So I know a lot of you here are both want to be designers plus a maker. And then there are some of you who just want to be makers. And so when I kind of figured that out, that's when I divided and built these two very, very separate communities. So thanks so much for being here. I hope to see you soon. Take care of yourself. Be a producer. Hey, did you know that you can visit me at makeanddesign.com to learn more about this podcast and join my VIP group for weekly freebies? I can't wait to see you there.